Chapter 72. During the final stages of pregnancy, Serafina often couldn't sleep, sometimes even sneaking into her mother's room to sleep with her to talk to her, asking her if it was hard to be pregnant with the two of them before. Her mother laughed. People back then didn't know what happiness or suffering was. It was no encouragement at all. Mother, you don't know how to chat. Serafina worriedly sighed. Mom, I took a lot of medicine before. Even though I stopped for more than half a year before I got pregnant, I was still worried that it would affect the baby. Will there be a problem, Mom? Her mother laughed again. I was also worried that twins would steal each other's nutrients. One would be stupid when born. Isn't there no problem at all? Why is there no problem? Mom, look at that idiot Theodore. She couldn't chat with her mother anymore. She shuffled back to her room in her slippers, then tiptoed under the covers. Just as she lay still obediently, her husband opened his eyes and looked at her, then hugged her in his arms. She pushed his chest guiltily, mumbling, "Why did you wake up?" "I don't know." He closed his eyes and smiled. He really didn't know why he could only sleep peacefully when she was by his side. She looked up at him. "Harrison, even though the doctor said there was no problem every time I had a pregnancy checkup, I'm still worried. What should I do?" He opened his eyes again, his pupils dark, and asked, "Do you remember our wedding vows?" "I remember. Take care of him, protect him, whether poor or rich, sick or healthy, always love each other, forever together?" She obediently recited. He leaned closer, rubbing his nose against hers. "It's the same with our baby. So don't worry, okay?" "Yes, that's exactly it." She smiled, "Yes." But after giving birth, she still felt uneasy. Because Otis was really good, except for when he cried out loud when he came out of his mother's womb, he never cried again, always looking at everyone very calmly. Serafina was worried that there was a problem with the baby's emotional exchange or pain, so she deliberately took advantage of the time when her Harrison was away to secretly pinch her son's cheeks many times, kneading them into all kinds of shapes. But he was always silent, looking at this violent mother, insisting on not crying or fussing. He even acted like a very good son, who wouldn't report on his mother. When Harrison returned, she was very content, guiltily holding the child to him as if presenting a precious thing, giggling like "I'm very good, I'm not bullying our child," and saying, "Now it's your turn to play with him." Her husband often put their son on the carpet, sat across from him, and teased him. Otis would babble to him in a language that adults couldn't understand. At that time, she felt that her son was very normal. But later, when she gave birth to her daughter Amanda, she discovered that her daughter had the personality that children should have. Hunger, peeing, no one to play with, could all make her cry loudly, divided into n different ways of crying, so noisy that the entire Lancaster family from top to bottom were full of life. She said to her husband, "Look, normal children should be like Amanda. I still think Otis is too calm, not like a child. Is there a problem with my thinking?" When she asked this question, he was teasing her. Hearing that, he laughed and said, "I think it's very normal. Otis is like me, so he's very obedient. But Amanda is like you, so she's such a troublemaker, always bullying others." "Hey, Harrison, you're looking for..." He blocked her mouth. After kissing her until the world was spinning, he laughed. "If you're still not satisfied, why don't we have a few more children? Until you're satisfied, I'll try my best to cooperate with you, okay?" Although her husband had said so, when Otis was over 4 years old, she still secretly took him to take an IQ test without Harrison's knowledge. After receiving the results, she was shocked, hugged her son and kissed him. Having long been used to his mother's strange actions, Otis calmly rubbed his face with his hands. After returning home, Serafina couldn't help but repent and recounted the whole story to Harrison, saying that she wasn't a good mother and shouldn't have taken her child for the test. But as soon as she repented, her eyes immediately flashed with a golden light as she showed him the results. After he finished reading, he was stunned for a long time, but without thinking much, he threw the results into the shredder and said, "Pretend you don't know." She naturally understood what he meant, nodding like a chicken pecking rice. "Of course I know, I don't want to put pressure on the child. At that time I was worried that something was wrong with the child, so..." "I know." In short, are you relieved now? He smiled, almost resigned. She really thought that the child had not met the magical fairy, so her child had such little expression. Now that the matter was over, she was not only relieved but also very excited. Once she realized it, she followed her husband around all day to show off. I must be too smart, so the child inherited it. He considered for a while, then gave another opinion. I feel like we need to discuss this issue. She retorted, could it be that it was inherited from you? Yeah, right, that's the right line. She kicked her husband again. It happened that she had to go home to visit her mother that day, so she ran as fast as she could to the Beaumont house. Theodore was so silly, she could find some comfort in him. As soon as she entered the door, she saw her younger brother eating a snack. She sat down and smiled happily. Theodore, I suddenly thought, you are this stupid, it must be because I sucked all your nutrients before. I am so sorry, I am so sorry. Now my IQ is so much higher than yours, I feel so guilty. Her younger brother bit the bread, his face sullen. She came here early in the morning just to insult his IQ? He stared at her for a while, asking, is there really a way to suck each other's IQ? Actually, there is not. But she saw that his face looked like he had fallen for the trick. She couldn't help but tease him, really. Now do you finally know why you are stupid? Ha ha ha, because I am too smart. He looked at her and laughed, then calmly said, Mom, let me take an IQ test. 159. So, Serafina, I'm sorry, no wonder you're so stupid. She was stunned. She was a living proof of what is called not a gentleman. Unable to argue, she used her hands and feet, kicking her younger brother away. She was very unwilling, angrily looking at her mother. Mom, why are you like this? You let your child take an IQ test? Being a mother like that is so inhumane. Her mother looked embarrassed, shyly saying, it's because your younger brother used to be absent-minded. I was afraid he was stupid. She spat out a mouthful of water, holding her stomach and laughing hysterically. Theodore's face turned ashen, and he gritted his teeth. So what? My IQ is 159 anyway. Haven't you noticed how fast my learning speed has been these past few years? Serafina, you're the idiot. From now on I'll change your phone number in my contacts to stupid sister. She said nothing, changing her brother's name in the contact list to stupid brother. Compared to Serafina, Harrison is more charming with children. Otis has been quite cold since he was young. Wherever he goes he acts like an old man. When walking around town with his mother he imitates his father and helps her carry her bag. Although Serafina knows that her little son is strong, she still hopes that he can occasionally act spoiled and follow her, but he remains cold. Only when he sees her husband does he show a bit of admiration, clinging to his father's coat, his short legs running closely behind. She can only feel sad that she probably doesn't have enough charisma to attract the boy, so she turns to hug her daughter. But Amanda is very stubborn, and is even more naughty and mischievous than a son. Serafina sometimes can't help but have to discipline her. The little girl felt wronged. As long as her mother was there she would be very obedient, but as soon as her father came home she would run straight to him and accuse her mother of scolding her. She also loved to act cute, always snuggling into her father's arms to ask for comfort. Serafina felt admiration, not knowing who the little girl learned this kind of pretense from. Her daughter was not only hyperactive but also extremely curious. For example, at mealtime, Amanda held the glass and blinked. Brother, why are there so many bees jumping around in the cola? Otis said, it's carbon dioxide CO2. The little girl pouted, what? What is it? Otis was at a loss. It's the name of a type of honeybee. Or while walking, Amanda turned her head to look at her parents behind her. Dad, why do you hold Mom's hand everywhere you go? Harrison smiled, because Dad likes Mom. She turned to look at Otis. You always hold my hand, because you like me? Otis didn't know what to say. The little girl raised her head. Are Dad and Mom like me and my brother? Harrison was silent. The little girl continued, where is my uncle? He's Mom's younger brother, why isn't he with us? Serafina also was silent. Her daughter really? Her daughter has been spoiled, a bunch of bad habits. Serafina helped her fix them one by one. It was very difficult. For example, Amanda always likes to leave things messy. putting the snack bag on the coffee table instead of throwing it in the trash. When she sees it, she will make her daughter throw the bag in the trash. Amanda wants to watch cartoons, too lazy to get up. Serafina immediately took the remote control and turned off the TV, throw away the trash and watch. Amanda was stubborn with her mother again, pouting, waving her hand. The potato chip bag fell on the carpet. She pursed her lips and looked at her mother, still motionless. Serafina was not angry, she turned the remote control and looked at her child. After a few minutes of silent competition, Amanda wanted to watch cartoons. There was no other way, she had to turn around and pick up the bag. But the small hand holding the big bag, no matter how she tried to pick it up, she couldn't pick it up. Suddenly she cried out pitifully, calling out to her mother, "Mom, help me pick it up, this bag is so heavy, I can't lift it up." Where did she learn this acting skill again? Serafina almost couldn't hold back her laughter. She had a hard time putting on a serious face. Even if you can't pick it up, you have to pick it up. Amanda was as impatient as a little squirrel, running around the bag, turning it back and forth, pulling and dragging and grabbing, as if she had used a lot of strength, but the bag still didn't budge. Otis sat reading a book beside her and shook his head. His little sister was truly a seasoned and experienced actress. After struggling for a while, Amanda fell to the ground, panting and begging, "Mom, it's really heavy, I can't lift it. Please throw it in the trash for me." Her mother was still standing still. Just as Harrison came back, witnessing the whole thing, he couldn't help but laugh and said to his wife, a future Oscar-winning actor. Amanda saw her father as if she had seen a savior. Just as she wanted to ask for help, her mother glared at her. But she stood still and continued to scream, "It's really heavy, I can't lift it. Dad, I'm a kid, I don't have much strength." Harrison sat down and patted the little girl's head. "Good Amanda, don't make mommy angry anymore." Amanda reluctantly used up all her strength, carried the empty bag, miserably threw it into the trash can, and now sat down on the floor panting as if relieved of a burden. Finally, the little girl pursed her lips and glared at her father angrily. I knew you would help your wife." The couple laughed out loud at the same time. Serafina pinched her daughter's cheek. I knew you were good at acting." 4-year-old Otis shook his head and sighed. 2 kids. Otis was like a healthy birch seedling. Without any guidance, the tiny tree just grew straight. Serafina was not worried about the baby, but when it came to Amanda's education, she thought that her husband seemed to be very lax in managing her. There is a saying, 3 years old, decide for life. She saw that her daughter was almost 2 years old and was still so willful and domineering, she couldn't help but worry. But she was pregnant again, she didn't have much thought and energy to control her daughter anymore. After waiting for the birth of the third baby, Bailey Lancaster, everyone's attention was on the baby. The core task of disciplining Amanda fell on Harrison's head. But Harrison was clearly the type of Buddha at home is not sacred. He was very gentle and tolerant towards his family. Sometimes, even when Amanda was naughty and accidentally deleted his important business documents, he would just say that he would find a technician to handle it, tell her not to touch his computer next time, and then let it go. Serafina felt that this was too easy, and would spoil the child. He thought that the child was to be pampered, and Amanda was both filial and affectionate. As long as he did not compromise on the essence of the problem, it would be fine. But Serafina always did not understand what her husband meant by the essence of the problem. Until one day, Lala's mother called from the kindergarten to say that the day before Amanda said she would bring her mother to Lala's house to play, Lala's mother deliberately skipped her date with her friends, and prepared fruit and food at home to wait. But it was almost evening and no one came. Serafina was surprised, saying that her daughter had never mentioned this to her. Lala's mother also said that Amanda had made many empty promises. One time, she asked Lala to go out and play. As a result, Lala ran to the park alone and waited for a long time but did not see Amanda's figure. Lala's mother thought her daughter was missing and was so scared that she searched everywhere. Serafina hung up the phone, took a deep breath, pulled Amanda, who was playing with Bailey on the sofa, aside, and asked her why. Her daughter admitted it, and calmly said, "I just said it randomly." Lala is stupid. Who told her to think it was real? She was terrified, not knowing when her daughter had developed the habit of making promises casually. She told her to apologize to Lala, but she still insisted that she was not at fault. She was furious and wanted to find a ruler. Her daughter saw her mother's actions and immediately burst into tears. "Mom is a bad person, Mom is a bad person." Little Bailey, as small as a bean, fell onto the sofa, biting his finger, his black eyes flickering as he tilted his head to watch. Serafina was just about to give her daughter a symbolic slap when her husband came over, hugged her daughter, and calmly coaxed her, "Don't cry, don't cry. On Saturday I'll take you to the amusement park to ride the Ferris wheel, okay?" She was so angry that she almost died. She hit her husband's hand with the ruler, and carried Bailey away. Harrison turned to coax her, not knowing what method he used to make his daughter apologize, and this matter was settled. On Saturday, Serafina sat in the living room, putting Bailey in the stroller, while grandfather checked Otis and Amanda's backpacks. When the family was about to go to the amusement park, she saw Harrison calmly walking downstairs to watch TV. Amanda put on a baseball cap and jumped over. "Dad, why haven't you changed into our family uniform t-shirt? We're about to leave." Harrison said, "I don't want to go anymore." Serafina was stunned, and finally after a long while, she suddenly understood. Otis was very calm, put down the backpack on his back, picked Bailey up from the stroller, and said, "I'll take Bailey upstairs to play." Grandpa followed him. Amanda couldn't accept it, and felt so wrong that tears welled up in her eyes. Dad lied, Dad didn't keep his word. Harrison tilted his head slightly, looking at her. "I'm imitating you. I just said it anyway, it's okay." Amanda pursed her lips, tears falling down. She opened her mouth but then lazily closed it again. After a while, she turned around and left. Serafina was worried, chasing after her son to see how he was. Before reaching the door of the room, she heard her daughter calling on the phone, "I'm sorry. Dad made me say sorry last time, but this time, I'm telling the truth. Being deceived is very sad. I won't lie anymore." "Lala, you shouldn't lie either, lying is not good. Bailey is so cute, he can crawl. Next time tell Mom to bring you here to visit him." "My mom is very good, she gave birth to an older brother and a younger brother for me, you don't have one." Serafina couldn't help but laugh, turned around and went downstairs. Her husband was still sitting on the sofa watching the news. Seeing her, he smiled. She suddenly felt that he was extremely manly at this moment. She went over to hug him, whispering, "Harrison, it's great that you're here." He turned his face away, didn't answer, just kissed her forehead. She said, "I see Amanda really knows her mistake, otherwise, let's go to the park next time." This time he did not give in at all. If you have to teach her a lesson, then you have to let her think seriously for the whole day. Otherwise, when she goes out to play, she will forget the grievance she had just felt. Serafina was moved, suddenly captivated by his punishment and warning tone. Her hand unconsciously reached into his shirt, provocatively biting his ear. "Since you are so free now, why don't you go to bed?" Before he could finish speaking, he hugged her, curling his lips into a smile. "I have been waiting for you to say this." The children of the Lancaster family, whether it was the cold Otis, the lively Amanda, or the Bailey crawling around on the floor, all loved animals. Every day, sitting at the dinner table, they would discuss the animals in the kindergarten or elementary school. Serafina then brought a husky home, but the more they lived together, the more she felt that his silly temperament was very similar to her younger brother, so she decided to change his name and call him Theo. Coincidentally, Theodore once went out to buy a baby hedgehog, and felt that his nephew might like it, so he put it in a box and brought it over. The children all liked it when they first saw the hedgehog, and Amanda even held Husky and sat in front of the box to watch the hedgehog. But the hedgehog was a small round ball, hiding its face, and its whole body was covered in thorns. Amanda immediately asked Husky, "Theo, are you saying that the hedgehog is shy?" As soon as the little girl finished asking, Theodore got angry. "Who named this stupid dog?" The little girl honestly said, "Don't be angry, it was Mom who named it." Theodore immediately pulled his sister over, pointed at the stupid-looking husky. "How could you name a dog me?" Serafina chuckled, "Aren't I showing you're a member of my family?" He gritted his teeth, pointed at the hedgehog and said, "I bought it, it's called Sarah." She was unhappy, but her husband suddenly came closer, looked at the hedgehog, and said, "Very similar, this name Sarah is very good." The children immediately clapped their hands. "Sarah, Sarah." She still wanted to protest, but unexpectedly the hedgehog heard this and poked its head out, its eyes darting around everyone. Did it really agree? At first, the hedgehog was afraid of strangers, so it kept shrinking. Even though Amanda held Bailey in one arm and Husky in the other, the two people and one dog sat in front of the glass tank staring at it for an entire afternoon. The hedgehog still didn't move. At dinner, Amanda sighed, "Sarah is very lonely, curling up alone, not playing with us." Serafina had a headache after hearing this. She really didn't understand why the hedgehog looked like her. She accidentally glanced at the glass tank and found that it was empty. The hedgehog was nowhere to be seen. The whole family hurriedly went to look for it again and found that the hedgehog had run out into the yard and was trying to climb up to the animal cage in the yard. Harrison was shocked and said, "It seems that Uncle Astor brought a wolf to our house the other day." Amanda immediately ran away like a rocket. "The wolf cub will eat Sarah." Serafina had an even bigger headache as she ran after everyone. The result. Why was the hedgehog leisurely climbing and rolling around on the wolf? The wolf cub held the hedgehog's nose, pulled it off his body, then put it on the ground and licked its pink and white belly, while the hedgehog happily waved its short claws. What the hell was going on? Everyone was shocked. The world was truly boundless. Furthermore, Serafina coughed. Why did it smell so unsuitable for children? Everyone left the hedgehog to play with the wolf cub, then quietly returned to eat. Everyone had eaten half of it, but unexpectedly the hedgehog crawled back as slowly as a turtle. That night, Harrison worked overtime at home. When he went downstairs to pour a drink, his eyes accidentally glanced at the glass tank containing the hedgehog. Seeing the hedgehog like a warm coffee-colored thorn cluster, he suddenly got excited and walked over, carefully touching its thorns, but instead of being pricked in the hand as he had imagined, the baby hedgehog immediately flipped over. Its pink, round belly was making a gurgling sound. He rarely interacted with young cubs, but at this moment, he felt strangely soft-hearted, and couldn't help but stick out a finger to poke the hedgehog's belly. It was soft and smooth, even softer than fruit jelly. The baby hedgehog didn't resist at all, and even seemed very happy, continuing to grumble. He couldn't help but laugh, poking its belly again, and for some reason, he called out, "Little Sarah." The baby hedgehog continued to act cute and grow. He put down his cup of water and ran upstairs. Serafina was writing the script, and before she could ask what was going on, he pulled her out. He pulled her to the hedgehog's side. "Serafina, little Sarah, and you are exactly alike." She stared at the hedgehog that was foolishly playing cute tricks on her husband. "What's the similarity?" He hugged her from behind, gently resting his chin on her shoulder. "Look, on the outside, it's all thorns, but after getting to know each other, you'll find out that it's soft-hearted and very warm." She listened silently, the corner of her lips showing a faint smile, and she muttered softly, "That's because the hedgehog only shows its face without thorns to the person it likes." "I know." He leaned close to her ear, his voice a bit seductive, "So it's very precious." She laughed, whining and reminding, "Now I have neither shell nor thorns, you have to treat me well." "Of course." He laughed, as if his heart was moved. After laughing he sighed deeply, "But what you said, no shell nor thorns, doesn't that mean there's only soft meat left?" "So. Yeah, I want to eat it." Harrison was worried that the wolf cub and the hedgehog cub were both wild animals, so he took the whole family to the geological park to play on the weekend, and conveniently released the wolf cub and the hedgehog cub. Although Amanda couldn't bear it, she was still very understanding. But Theodore thought that the image of the hedgehog lying face down on the wolf's head, being taken away by the wolf and disappearing into the forest, was too magical. And the silly puppy was a domestic animal, so of course he couldn't release it. On the way back from the geological park, the bright sunlight penetrated through the canopy of the ancient trees, casting sparkling rays of light on the grass and in the air. It was both fresh and clear. The forest was very quiet, with occasional chirping of birds. The whole family seemed to be walking in a beautiful corridor of time. The fragrant scent of happiness filled the air. Otis still led Amanda in front, while the girl held the leash and led Husky. Husky was easily distracted, running around here and there, but she always pulled him back. Finally, he discovered a strange, stiff, furry chestnut, and happily wagged his tail to chase after it. Seraphina looked at the three short little darlings in front, and when she turned her head, she saw Harrison's angular and gentle face. She couldn't help but curl her lips and lean closer to him. Harrison held his child in one hand, and held his wife's hand in his left, leisurely walking through the vast green forest. Little Bailey was curious about everything, shaking his head, his black eyes looking everywhere, occasionally spitting foam, occasionally leaning on his father's shoulder in a daze, occasionally babbling to his mother. Even if no one understood, it didn't matter. Seraphina held her husband's hand tightly, the temperature in her palm was still so hot and familiar. She leaned her head on his shoulder, following his footsteps as he walked forward, her eyes gently gliding up to the sky above her head. High and deep. Our whole family, together forever, how wonderful. Harrison, I used to pray, hoping that there would be someone like you, deep and pure like this blue sky, warm and unpretentious like the sunlight at this moment, from dawn to dusk, from the setting sun to the end of the earth, watching the flowers bloom with me on every path. Harrison, thanks to you, all my wishes have come true.